thing that frightened me is when I was a young boy. Now, I'm going to shorten the story up. I don't even know if Amy and Adam has ever heard the story. I just started talking about it maybe about 6 years ago, because obviously with the shows and meeting all the people and talking with my son, knowing a lot of people in the field, because way back when you didn't talk about your paranormal experiences. Now it's a little more open. And even as a police officer, I've had experiences. But the thing that happened to me, and I don't want anybody to have any nightmares, but this is something that happened to me when I was about 5 or 6 years old. I was living in projects. Actually, it's still standing, and it was my mom and dad. My sister had a room, and I had a room. And I was in bed. It was in the middle of the night, and at the foot of my bed, there was a figure of a man, a dark shadow figure, definitely male figure. I don't want anybody to have nightmares, but this really did happen, and this is why I got involved in paranormal. But the figure was standing there, and it was actually standing. Did I ever tell you guys this story?
I don't know.
Well, I was standing. Oh, Jesus. I got a lot of. You're in charge of spider. I can see this whole section going. But, no, thank you. I appreciate it. You knocked my head off. I don't care.
It was heading for your ears.
Really? Oh, jeez. But anyway, the man was standing there. Anthony was standing there. I wasn't sick. I wasn't dreaming. I was awake. And he actually was standing catty corner to me. Thank you. And didn't say anything, and it didn't do anything. It just stood there with a grin on his face. Mm. But the scary thing of it is, he had a red face.
What?
A bright red face. Okay? Now, to tell the story, I'm going to shorten the story. This entity appeared 2 more times within a year's period. The third time when he appeared was always at the foot of my bed, always looking, never saying anything, just had a smirk on his face. My mom and dad used to leave the light on in the bathroom, and it was down the hall. This time I got out of the first time I covered my head, I said some prayers, and later on it went away. But the third time, I got up, I got out of bed, I went into the bathroom, and I sat on the toilet for about a half hour. All right? Now, I'm going to answer some questions right after I finish because I know what you're thinking. But I waited about a half hour. I walked back into my room, and he was still standing there.
Whoa.
So I went right back to the bathroom, and that's where I slept the rest of the night. The only person I ever told about this was my grandfather. And obviously my grandfather says, he used to call me Butch. He says, Butch, you were probably dreaming. I didn't say too much about it. I tried to tell him what it was. And now, you're probably thinking, why didn't I wake up my mom and dad? Well, that's a little more personal. But as I tell the story, when I tell people, I says, I would have rather dealt with that entity than wake up my father. My father, without getting into a big, long history of it, was a very stern and harsh man. And I would probably be more afraid of, even though that did frighten the heck out of me, my life would have changed. And now thinking about it, I've talked to John Zaffis, I've talked to my son, and it was probably didn't do anything, and I'm still here. I don't want anybody to be afraid, didn't hurt me. Because that stuff doesn't happen, and it's never happened to me again, anything like that, honestly. But it did happen, and like I said, I've talked to some people, and I have an idea why it happens. If I ever write a book, I'll let you know more about it. But that is an absolute true story. I take a lie detector test on it, but it actually happened. And obviously, later on, I got interested into the paranormal. I read, because we didn't have the shows and stuff, but that's the most frightening thing. Now, in the paranormal, as far as spirits, people say, are you afraid? I was a police officer for over 25 years in the big city of Elizabeth, in New Jersey. You got to be afraid of the people that are alive, not the people that are dead. The ghosts aren't going to hurt you, honestly. All right, that nasty stuff. Hollywood would want you to believe that this happens all the time. It doesn't. Very rarely. Very, very rarely, but it does. That's it.